Howdy folks, I'm Beastly Common Buckeye, belligerently berating bad buckets.
I'm Amber.
And here are more bad buckets for us to berate, and I don't know exactly why we're berating them. What makes the buckets bad, Amber?
They're not doing their job of holding water properly. Maybe the butterfly wants a drink.
Oh, I was kind of thinking like evil possessed buckets or something like that.
I mean, they could be that too, but that wasn't what I had in mind.
We'll go figure. But let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling Him to Eat What I Cook or Starve? So this has been building up for months, and I swear I've tried to be patient. I've tried to stay cool, but I've hit my limit, and now I'm getting called rude and dramatic. Here's what happened. I cook almost every night, nothing fancy, but just real food. I try and I put in effort, but every single time, without fail, he makes some comment like, my mom's version tastes better, or that's not how my mom makes it. Like, okay, then go to her house and eat. He doesn't even taste my food sometimes. He just looks at it and already decides that he's not going to enjoy it. Last week I made beef stew and he straight up said, my mom adds more garlic. This smells weird. And he didn't even touch it. I'm not even exaggerating when I said I felt this close to crying. I stood in the kitchen for hours while he scrolled on his phone, and then he just turned up his nose and made instant noodles instead. The worst part? He didn't even try it, not one bite. And when I tell him this hurts me, he says, I'm just being honest, you're too sensitive. Nah, that's not honesty, that's just disrespect. So yeah, yesterday, he tried pulling the same thing again when I served dinner, looked at it, sighed, mumbled something about his mom again, and I just snapped and I said, you know what? If you like her cooking so much, maybe you should go and eat over there. Or better yet, why don't you call her and ask her to cook for you every night? Because this is what I made. And if you can't eat it, then don't eat at all. He got mad, said that I was being immature, said that I am weaponized food or whatever, and now he's sulking and said that I embarrassed him. That I'm trying to compete with his mom. I'm not. I never was. I just want to be respected in my own kitchen, in my own home, and I'm exhausted. I feel like no matter what I do, it's never good enough, and I'm not trying to replace his mom. I'm just trying to be me, and apparently that's not good enough. So tell me, am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. You have been kind enough to make him food. It sounds like he's probably a grown adult capable of making his own food. You've been doing this for him, and all you can do is sulk like a toddler and say, but my mom makes it differently. I mean, I think Opie makes a very valid point. If the only food he wants is his mom's food, he's got to go to mommy. No one else is going to make food just like mommy.
Well, the thing that kind of bothers me more than anything is that he went and made himself instant noodles
Yeah.
over like a homemade beef stew.
Hmm.
Like, what? Who does that, right? Like, are instant noodles really going to taste that much better than the homemade beef stew?
Well, it just feels like he's like putting OP's cooking down for the sake of it.
Yeah, because I mean, I've never had a instant noodle that tasted better than like a home cooked meal or something like that, right? And I don't know, I just think that it is pretty disrespectful, right?
Well, it is, and I get my guess is like if he's ever lived on his own, he probably just made himself instant noodles all the time. So it might be that's just what he's used to living off of because he can't cook himself.
Yeah, because he would die.
Not like that. You know what I mean, Brian? He is incapable of cooking food for himself.
I know what you meant. I mean, again, like you said, I think this is just absolutely disrespectful. I don't think that OP has a problem. I don't think that OP's in the wrong for telling him not to eat, right?
Right, like what does he want OP to do? Like again, obviously he's the one who's making it a competition with his mom, not OP.
Hmm.
He's always comparing everything OP does to his mom.
I get their frustration here. I really do. It seems like a pretty bad situation. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Lori Tawes says, definitely not a jerk. My sister made her husband dinner once and he refused to eat it, so she picked up his plate and chucked it into the bin. Send him back to his mommy, he's not worth it. And Opie replies, honestly, that sounds empowering. No one deserves to be disrespected like that, and thank you for the support. And Mimi91 says, not the jerk and stop cooking for him. He can go sulk at his mommy's house. And Shadow for Summer says, the thing is that he's never going to place you ahead of his mother. He sounds like a mama's boy through and through. Better get out now before the marriage and kids. It won't get better. If I ever heard my son say something like that to his wife, I would probably slap him. I don't recommend violence. I mean, certainly, like, I understand people's frustration sometimes, but I think resorting to violence is never a good idea. And Background in Cat says, he doesn't like you. How's that your fault? And Superb Tomato 8185 says, I'm seeing this more and more, like people being married to someone that they don't like, usually because they get benefits from it, but they don't actually care about who they are married to. I'm hoping that this opens up people's eyes. It's fascinating. I'm loving that people are starting to learn and see the red flags in partners and not settling. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Only Buying Food for Myself? I'm a 19-year-old female, and I'm home from college for about a month now, and I live at home with my mom, her boyfriend, my two younger sisters, both 15-year-old females, and her boyfriend's two sons, 13-year-old male and a 12-year-old male. I didn't even know his kids were living here permanently until I got back for summer break. I don't have a problem with them personally, we barely speak. The only thing is that food in the house constantly disappears. It's not that my mom and her boyfriend don't buy groceries, they do, but no matter how much food is in the house, it's gone in a day or two. My younger sister and her stepbrothers, I guess, eat all the time. They'll eat a full breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then still go downstairs constantly throughout the day and night, making snacks, extra meals, or just raiding the fridge. Like, I'm not exaggerating. Sometimes they make 10 different things between meals. Even with leftovers, I'll come home and there's nothing left. I've asked my mom about it, and she'll say that she's told them to save me some, but they never do. It's happened so many times that I just give up. I started putting food aside before I leave the house, but even then, someone would eat it. So now I've started to just DoorDash my own food or cook my own food and keeping it in my mini fridge from college. I stock it with groceries that I buy with my own money and just cook for myself when I need to eat. I don't touch the shared food anymore, and I don't ask anyone to share mine. Well, when my mom and her boyfriend are at work and the fridge is empty and my siblings are hungry because they ate the food in 2 days, I don't bat an eye because it's not my fault or responsibility. The other day, my mom made a comment about how I only think about myself and I should think about the house as a whole. My sisters are playing a part in this, but the majority of it is on her boyfriend's kids. Before I left for college, they didn't even live here. Food would last. I told my mom, and she was like, they're still growing, and you're being dramatic because you don't like them living here. That's not the case at all. I get that maybe I'm wrong for door dashing or cooking food while they're hungry, but I'm really tired of being hungry and stressed in my own home. They don't think about me while they're eating my leftovers. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. Taking care of her sister and step siblings is not OP's responsibility. And like we have a big issue here because we have someone in a household who's been forced to go hungry repeatedly. Like OP's mom and stepdad have shown, and siblings have shown absolutely no regard for OP and OP's needs. And even if you want to argue that OP is an adult, so should be providing their own food, OP is doing that. OP is not responsible for making sure that anyone else in the household is fed. That is the parents' responsibility, and they should not be trying to shift this onto OP.
Well, the fact that they're treating like OP like they're not even part of the household,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they're like, well, you need to think about the household, but none of the household thinks about OP.
Exactly. It's one-sided.
And so the thing is, I want to know what the mom's thinking here because even if OP didn't buy their own groceries, right, then those kids would still go hungry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is that OP making their own food isn't going to change that because they are eating the house out like locusts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, OP's tried to be approach this from a reasonable stance and try to be part of the household, thinking about the household by setting food aside, by trying to do different things to remedy the situation, different compromises, but she's ignored. So the only thing she has left to do is exactly what she's doing, right? Like, she can't stop them from eating her food while she's away. So I don't think that OP's in the wrong here at all for being frustrated and setting food aside. Like I said, this wouldn't change that they ate all the food in the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
The food in OP's mini fridge. What I'm really surprised about is that they're not running into OP's bedroom while they're
I
gone and
know.
eating all the food.
Maybe OP has a lock on her door.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Unjustified Earwax says, not the jerk, and are the kids becoming overweight at all? It doesn't sound healthy. And OP replies, I mean, they've gained a noticeable amount of weight since the last time I saw them, but I don't know if they're overweight. And Primary Delivery 737 says, no, that's ridiculous. Interesting that you were not told about the boyfriend's kids living there. And OP replies, yeah, honestly, I'm not sure why she did that when there originally wouldn't have been any space for everyone. We only have a 4-bedroom house, so originally my mom had her own room, and I had my own room, and my sister shared, and my older brother, a 21-year-old male, had his own room, so when they moved in, she and her boyfriend were sharing a room, of course, and his sons were in my room since I was at school, and my brother ended up moving out, so her boyfriend's kids took his room. I'm not sure how it all would have worked out if my brother didn't move out and I came home from school and didn't have a room anymore. I did feel weird about not being told until I came home, but it's her house and my input didn't really matter. And Objective Attempt 14 says, not the jerk, but as far as DoorDash, I would eat it outside of the house and not in front of them. As for cooking, a sit down might be in order. They need to change what kind of food is being bought. More ingredients and less snacks. Popcorn is cheap, and at their age, they can learn to cook basic things. It might be time for mom to cook a big batch of beans and make burritos for them, and they can nuke those, pre-cut veggies, and PB&J sandwiches. And time for the family to make a menu for the week. Then they need to have a sit down with a, if you use the dinner ingredients for other things, then you'll go without. Keep sugar and oatmeal on hand, and a big pot of oatmeal or leftover spaghetti can help. But yeah, boys at that age, home all day, bored, are human bottomless pits when it comes to food. And OP replies, yeah, I feel like that might be the best thing to do, but I doubt my mother and her boyfriend would. My siblings do know how to cook basic things. Once the frozen quick foods are gone, they just start making random things, like mixing a whole carton of milk with cinnamon and drinking it, or like bacon wrapped broccoli with soy sauce as the dip. I don't know. My mother could go and make a whole pot of pasta, and they would clear that, and then they would go back to the kitchen and eat some more food. Oh man, that's quite the culinary experience. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I the Jerk? I Didn't Let My Husband Eat My Sandwich. My husband and I were chilling on the couch, and I mentioned I was hungry. I placed an order from one of our favorite sandwich shops, and I asked him 3 times while I ordered if he would want one as well, and he said no, 3 times. And he just had breakfast, and he wasn't hungry. Well, the sandwich arrived, and I cut off a small bit to eat, and then I saved the rest for later. I don't have a large appetite, I'm just kind of a grazer. I take one bite, and he says, oh, I want a bite of that. I said, why didn't you order one for yourself? He says that I wasn't hungry until I smelled yours. I end up letting him have 3 bites of mine, and I told him to order his own. I don't like sharing food unless it's planned. He knows this. We've been together for 10 years. I literally have to hide snacks from him because he'll find them and eat them because I don't eat all of it at once. He orders his sandwich, it's 30 minutes delivery, and he wants another bite of mine. I said no. Now I'm a crazy, selfish hypocrite who won't share food. He's now brought up every meal, where we've had in the past 2 weeks as an example of food generosity. And mind you, that every meal was planned to be shared. Now we aren't speaking. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. Now, it does come out in the comments that he has disordered eating where he basically just eats everything that there is in the house. But he is refusing to get help. And I think that's the crucial thing here is that, yes, I understand that he has eating struggles, but it is on him to be willing to accept help. OP should not have to go hungry because of this, because it's getting to a point where OP asked him repeatedly if he wanted anything, and he's like, nope, 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 I'm fine. And then as soon as she has food, he just wants to eat it all. And then OP doesn't get the food she needs. She has to hide snacks from him. There's nothing she can have in her own house that's just hers unless she resorts to literally hiding it from his sight. And that's not a healthy relationship.
Yeah, well, they've been together for 10 years. He has this disordered eating, and I think that it's maybe time for them to have an intervention if it's getting to, the point where she has to hide food and all kinds of things. I mean, I know that it's difficult watching somebody. It may be like the status quo is fine enough, but that's where you end up with situations like this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
clearly, this is getting to a point where OP can't deal with it anymore. And they need to actually take some measures and make sure that they are, taking care of themselves and that their husband is also, not spiraling or anything like that, right? I mean, next time I think that OP, needs to seriously consider, like, what is his behavior going to be if she doesn't order something for him, right? and they need to sit down and talk, and she needs to make it very clear that if he doesn't order anything, then he's not going to get any of OP's food, right?
Right. Well, and then his behavior. On top of that, I think the biggest issue here is his lack of respect for OP,
Mm-hmm.
because here he is,
Oh
like,
yeah.
basically berating her, being like, "Look, see all these other things we shared. You're so selfish. You're." I'm like, dude, dude, like, regardless of his disordered eating, the way he treats OP, that is 100% within his control. He could be upset he didn't get to eat the food and still not lash out at OP and, like, every single time bring up every single time they've shared food the past week.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, OP already gave him 3 bites,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well, that's the other thing too. Like, she actually did share with him. 3 bites isn't a trivial amount,
Yeah.
but he just, so I mean, his lack of respect for OP, I think, is a very big issue that needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not good. It's not a good situation. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it's tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
What did the mama goat say to her jokester babies?
Oh, what did the mama goat say to her jokester baby? She says, uh, hey, you kids, why don't you go and stop being, childish goats?
Stop kidding around. And it's Be a Kid Again Day.
Oh,
Although I'm assuming they mean human child and not a goat.
transform yourself
And
into a goat today.
it's also National Ice Cream Sundae Day, which goes hand in hand, I think, with being a kid.
Yes, it does. So too bad it's not Sunday and Ice Cream Sunday Day. It seems like short-sightedness on whoever made that calendar.
Well, it might be one of those days that rotates every year, and so, like, it only falls on Sunday once in a blue moon.
Yes, that might be the case. And I have a special guest tea, some matcha. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, terrific Tuesday, folks. Spelled TWO. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it about sharing food.
Sharing food needs to be voluntary on all parts.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!